I pulled up for people watching on Twitch or watching the YouTube video later. I clicked on the wrong screen and I showed um, our show notes instead. Luckily, there's nothing private. Nothing. Luckily for me, there's nothing personal on that screen for like the split second it was up there. All right. Whoops. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 442 of the DrunkNerds podcast. I'm host as always. I'm Tyler, and join me we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Man, honestly, it's been a interesting week in some regards from work. Got a bunch of tips. That's always a nice thing from like helping with furniture, loading into people's houses and stuff. It's just weird, you know. It's like I'm not used to being tipped for like hardly any type of like work in general.
You're
Coming from like
usually
another,
you're used to
yeah.
giving tips.
Oh yeah, the previous workplace that I used to work at, man, we couldn't even
As a
take
prostitute?
tips.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, we couldn't even take tips and stuff because it was a whole business structure and stuff where it's like, eh. But other than that, though, yeah, it's been interesting because I've been watching little bits of the Games Done Quick thing that was
Oh,
happening over the July 4th, like a weekend in that regards. Plus, going through Game Passing, what type of stuff I'd like to play or what I would think about maybe trying out. But to be perfectly honest with you, I think I've only played maybe two games this week besides like the usual Destiny 2 stuff that I have been playing with a friend. But other than that, though, I mean, there really hasn't been too much in regards to what has been happening in regards to event stuff. But how
yeah.
about you, Tyler? How have you been doing?
Gables, I know the question in your mind that you've been thinking to yourself since we hopped on this
Mm,
Skype call. And the answer
yeah.
is yes. And the
Eh.
question you're asking yourself is Tyler wearing Golden Girls pajama bottoms? And let me show you,
What?
buddy. Let me show
What?
you.
What?
Yeah, look at this. Bam! Look at those babies. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm that flexible. I am wearing.
Be careful! Don't pull something.
Oh, okay.
Eh.
I got Golden Girl socks on.
Oh man, I would have laughed if you did that and just pulled like a freaking ligament or like a fucking muscle and you're like you
That
fucking
wouldn't have been funny at all. The problem is I wouldn't be able to lie about how how it happened because it's live on the internet. I couldn't tell my work that I did it while working. It's like I'm gonna have to like delete this immediately and hope no one ever records it. But yeah, I knew you were thinking of Gables, and I didn't. I didn't want to. I assume you probably been asking yourself that question every podcast for over 8 years,
Oh yes, I'm
and
sure.
yes, it's it's the age old question, um, and I'm happy to finally answer that question today. Man, I'm out of breath from that. Jesus Christ, I'm so out of shape.
You're out of breath from just
You know how
hoisting your
hard it was to lift my leg that high? It took a lot. It took you
Oh,
know how difficult it is for me to like I had to clip my toenails today and that
yeah.
now look at Gables fucking ladies, if you're
I'm
not for audio listeners, I'm so sorry. If for Gables literally just gave himself a blowjob on stream.
oh no.
That's how flexible
I
he
just
is.
stretched my leg. I mean, my leg's a little bit more like flexible in that regards, you know. It's
Oh,
like
you could touch your fucking toes. Good for fucking you. Good for fucking you. I it is a whole process to like I leave my shoes permanently tied because it is too exerting for me to tie my shoes every time. That's where I'm at. That's how out of shape I am.
oh gosh, I
Because
don't
the
bend
bending
over
down and the lifting,
shoes.
I have no flexibility whatsoever. Whatsoever. It is a process to clip my toenails. I had to do it today, and I was like, God damn, this sucks. Yeah, it's awful. I feel like I'm like one of those people on 600 pound life, but I'm like half the fucking weight inside and like a third of the size. But I
So
I,
you
I
can't just
understand.
like, sit down in a chair or just get your like
I had to.
legs on your lap and do that, you
Yeah.
know?
I sit in the toilet, and next to my
Okay.
toilet is my shower, and I
Okay.
put it up on the ledge of it's a bathtub, but on the bathtub, and I use that to bend so I can like clip all specifically my right leg because that's the way it works out. And then I can
Oh,
type.
okay.
We are getting into some weird shit here about my personal life that I don't really want to get into. Uh, I just wanted to show you my Golden Girl fucking pajamas. That's all I wanted to do.
Well, we
Uh,
just went to that rabbit hole for the last
yes,
five
we
minutes.
did.
So let's see where it takes us now.
Yeah. So I've been doing this thing now. The last few weeks of like this podcast where like last week was a little different because it was on a Friday, but I mean I was a little more exhausted, you know, 'cause it was a full work day, all that. But um, I've been going up to Starbucks. I've mentioned before, previous podcast. I can see the Starbucks from my window. Right, it's like
Yeah.
right. I can walk there in like 30 seconds. Um, so lately I've been like about 2 hours before podcast time. I go up and I go get myself a coffee, an iced coffee from there,
Yeah.
and I just it gives me some more energy. Makes I think makes the show it makes it a lot more fun overall. And then I drink the beer to kind of like give me a nice little thing. The only problem is at nighttime when it's like I want to go to bed, but I'm still like awake. Like I'm tired, but I'm like still alert. You know that feeling when it's just like, ah man, I should not have drank all that coffee that late, or you have that late coffee or that late thing that just kind of keeps you buzzed, or you drink too many fucking Vegas bombs and all that. It's like 2 in the morning, but you essentially drinking like you're super drunk, but you've also mixed so much Red Bull and I don't even remember what else goes in it together. So it's like you can't go to sleep because you're exhausted and drunk, but you can't sleep because you've drank fucking 15 goddamn Red Bulls. That's kind of where I'm at. Like yeah. So hopefully this beer here will help kind of subside that. But yeah, overall I'm doing okay. It was kind of depressing going back to work on Tuesday after a 3-day weekend, but also look on the bright side, there's only a 4-day week of work. Um, Now we just gotta wait 2 fucking months to the next holiday. God damn it!
Oh,
I don't know who planned all this. Like we like backload all the fucking vacation, all the holidays into the second half of the year, and then after January, after New Year's, there's jack shit until summer. Who the
yeah.
fuck thought this was a good idea? Assholes. We should have 6 times the amount of holidays, and they should be equally spread out. You know what? Fuck it. We should just all have Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays off, but still get paid full time.
Hmm.
Let's make it happen, Gables. I think we should do it. We'll start striking now.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
follow,
of course.
subscribe, click the bell if you agree. And if you don't, I'm gonna assume that you all want to work 100-hour weeks with no days off. So that's if you don't do that, that's what you're saying. And you hate black people. So that's what if you don't do that. So sorry for that last thing, but that's what you're telling me. If you don't support us, that's what you're telling me. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I this maybe I should stop getting the Trenta and just go to the Grande.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less of the caffeine,
Maybe
Tyler.
the Grande. Maybe the Grande should. I'll go Grande next time. I'll be a lot less uh what's the word I'm looking for? Offensive. Uh, but anyways, it has been it was funny. I was telling Gables for the podcast before we hopped on Skype about like I went to go start the show notes. I'm like, fuck, there was nothing to talk about this week. And then I looked up, I'm like, oh yeah, the fucking Switch OLED was announced this week. That was Tuesday. That was 4 days ago. Feels like 6 months ago. That's where I'm at right now. But the Nintendo SWOLED, as it's now being called on Twitter, happened. So yeah, some news coming out of it here. I'm gonna look this up on my phone because I feel like if I do anything else to my computer, it might literally fall apart. Give me 2 seconds here.
Your computer's just gonna explode.
It's humming right now, and I'm afraid to do anything else on it. All right. So the Nintendo Switch SWOLED, as I said, was announced. There's been that rumor about the Switch Pro, whatever it feels like for
Right.
before the original Switch was even announced. We already had rumors about the Switch Pro. So with this one, the main differences are there is a larger screen. It goes from 6.2 inches to 7 inches. There is a wider kickstand. There's an enhanced audio, which the enhanced audio is that they instead of putting the speakers in the back of the fucking Switch, they put them on the front. Who would have thought that was a good fucking idea? Hey, you're looking at the screen. Let's put the audio in the back and have it go away from you instead of towards you. They added a LAN port to the dock. Cool. Welcome to 2006. There's 64 gigabytes of internal storage instead of 32, which came in the standard model. There's no other enhancements. Still runs at 720. 720 on if you're mobile mobile we'll say, and then 1080p when docked. So no other changes on that, and it's now 350 instead of 300. Yeah, it comes October 8th, launches the same day as Metroid Dread. Um, there is the cool like white on black one, and there's also the red and
Hmm.
blue one, like they came with the Switch one.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I mean, Gables, what was your overall thoughts when you heard the news of this?
All right. So first things first. In regards to the OLED Switch, I felt that this one was going to be a good replacement for the Switch we have out in the market right now, because quintessentially with this announcement, it led me to believe that one, they're going to be completely replacing the baseline Switch model that's at $300 right now with this OLED one. It makes sense for Nintendo in that regards, especially if they are going to potentially release down the line a Switch Pro potentially. But I like the idea that this is coming out this year because it gives Nintendo a like a not only like a new SKU, even though it's very similar. The only things that are different really is the screen, the dock, the phone jack in that regards. I mean, there's not a hell of a lot of difference. You can still play your original Switch games. It's not going to be like something drastically different, but the only difference in price wise is it's $50 more than like the regular Switch. With them, for their audience, I think they're going to be aiming more towards, say, the ones that have yet to buy a Switch, or even like for those that, okay, maybe you're the person that likes playing their Switch on the go, and don't predominantly connect onto your TV. Hey, you know what? This is going to be for you. Especially for those, if like, say, if you had a Vita, or had like a device that has like the OLED type of screen, you like the type of gaming that way. I mean, I could see potential Switch owners or people that are interested in the Switch now in regards because of the whole OLED screen and this and that. But I thought that the announcement was fine in that regards, but it didn't really do anything for me because for one, it's not really that much different. Plus, the most I actually use my Nintendo Switch is docked anyway, so I wouldn't really see a lot of the benefits in using it handheld mode. I hardly ever play handheld games on the go anyway. I mean, maybe a little bit before I go to bed, but that's on like a few and far between. I mean, I'm playing my other consoles like PS5 or my Xbox or something like that, and if I'm playing Switch games, I want to sit in my computer chair and I want to play it on my TV screen, even though it's a little bit larger than what it should be on the TV screen. It's not
Yeah,
adjusted, but it's basically sort of like a holiday model, kind of tied into potentially like maybe Metroid Dread, because the
yeah,
color scheme, this and that. It's quintessentially, I could see that game being bundled with this OLED system.
yeah. I don't think it doesn't seem like they do the bundle because they know people are gonna
Right.
buy Dread and they're gonna probably gonna buy this. I mean, it is a nice tie-in because it looks like the enemy from Metroid Dread.
The
Um,
Emmy, yeah,
yeah, which I don't think it was like planned because like I love the fact that like the new in look for like stuff is kind of like the white on black stormtrooper stuff, like that
yeah,
style. I love that about like especially like the PS5 and like my headphones here and just like in general. It's not even a PlayStation thing. It's been going on for a while, but I love that look and that style, and I think that's just like probably like they built this and had no plans of like incorporating this with Dread, and it's
right.
probably just more so like, oh well, I mean, what's the bit we want to release this fall? Like, what's the big, game, the biggest game we got we can release this with? It's like the Switch Lite release with Link's Awakening. Not to say like Link's Awakening is not a big game, but it's not a Pokemon. It's not like the next mainline Zelda or Mario. So it's like the biggest game we got coming out that time frame. Let's just release it with that, and that's kind of what I feel like this is. Because I mean, it's not WarioWare. I mean, I guess they probably could have done with Pokemon, but they probably want to get it out there earlier than that. I mean, I think like the Switch Lite came out in September. Um, I think it was September 18th or something like that. I remember it was like right on my mom's birthday. Right on my mom's birthday. So it was that week. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like coming out of this like I don't even taking the rumors out of like the Switch Pro and the 4K stuff out of it. I just kind of came away like kind of confused about this one. Like the Switch Lite, that makes sense. Like yeah, it kind
Mm.
of destroys the whole purpose of the name title of the Switch, But I mean, it's still like it kind of gives people that just want to play Nintendo games handheld. Like it gives them that option, and it's smaller and easier to carry around. And I feel like this would make more sense if this was like an upgrade for the Switch Lite, or just was like the replacement
Right.
for the Switch Lite, where like the only benefits for this is, excuse me, is the Switch. is playing handheld, and it's like if I'm someone that primarily plays handheld, it's like this doesn't really give me. Yeah, it gives me an OLED screen, which is nicer, um, for sure. I'm not arguing that whatsoever, but it's like the battery life is the same as a regular Switch. I think it's like around
Hmm.
4 or 5 hours, depending on what you're doing. Uh, you get a what 10th or not 10th of an inch, but what 5/6 of an inch bigger screen, which isn't a lot. Um, it's there's no more power. It's just
Mm.
I mean, I guess it's just like if you care about having a better screen, then I mean that's the one benefit. Like the whole, it's got a LAN port is like that. I'm not going to praise them for that. That's something that should have just
No,
been in
should have been
there.
standard.
Yeah, I mean, fucking the PS3 and 360 had that. Fucking Dreamcast had that. Like these are like things that should. The Wii U had one. These are things that should have just been in it at the beginning. And I was reading about it from a journalist that kind of seems like they know a lot about how kind of manufacturing all that works in Costco. And like adding a LAN port literally costs like 3 cents to put it in there, and that was 5 years ago before the Switch came out.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
considered like
probably
old
about
tech sort of thing too, in terms of like ports and stuff. But it's
yeah,
such a common thing that yeah, you if you are releasing a electronic that connects to the internet in that regards, you got to at least have the option of allowing to connect remotely to your router and
yeah,
via an Ethernet cable. I mean, that's a standard thing. And yeah, Nintendo going through and doing it now for their model shows how much honestly just shows how much like thought they put into the whole concept of just doing the online stuff from
yeah,
that regards.
yeah. While they're charging us yearly for a subscription, for it.
True.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I know you can. The dock will work. The new dock will work with the old switches, but it's just like,
Oh, interesting.
do I want to pay $90 for? I'm assuming this one's still gonna be 90, like the other one is, which you can't find anywhere anymore.
No, you can't.
Because say
And the
I can
only
just
way you
buy.
can really, honestly, Tyler, and sorry to interrupt you, but the only way you can actually buy this current dock that's for the OLED Switch is actually going to be through online. So you can't really go through like brick and mortar.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not on. The only place you can buy these a dock is on eBay or like like
Well, yeah,
that.
the original dock. I'm talking about like
Yeah,
the
but
new
I'm
dock.
sure that'll be the same thing though. They'll probably be limited, and
I
then they'll be
see.
hard to find, um, or they might not even put them out separately. But yeah, and like I said, I mean, you could buy a LAN adapter for like 10-15 bucks.
Which I
That
did actually. I
yeah,
got my LAN adapter on like discount at my local Walmart and stuff because they were liquidating them, and I got it for dirt cheap, and I
yeah,
have it for
there
my
you go.
freaking Switch.
Yeah, what sucks is they actually eliminated one of the USB ports in the back to add this,
Yep.
so you go from 3 to 2, which you're already gonna. I mean, I don't know. It's like you already. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. I just kind of came more perplexed out of this, where it's just like I don't really like you said, it's for people that don't have one. I feel like it makes. I mean, obviously, if I didn't have a Switch, or say my Switch died, and it was gonna cost me the same amount to get it fixed as it would be buy one. Yeah, I'd buy this one just to have the newest one. But I mean, I played almost entirely uh, like docked. Like the only times I've ever used it in handheld was to just test it out when I first got it, and then I made a trip to Vegas where I used it on the plane.
Hmm.
That was it. Like, and that's the only times I've ever used it in handheld. Um, and I know for a lot of people they there's a lot of people I know, like like you, Gables, you have a Switch Lite and a and you still have your launch Switch.
Yes, I do.
So I mean, I don't know. I was kind of came perplexed out of this, where it's like I don't understand like what the big selling point, like is this really the people that don't have a Switch, is this really gonna be the big thing that like, oh fuck yeah,
Right.
now I'm gonna get a Switch? Like I mean, I get like these are the people that like had 6 different uh 3DSs. These are this is now the fourth Switch model, if you count this, the launch, the battery upgrade Switch, the Switch Lite, and now the Switch OLED. um
It could be
I
sort of like honestly, I know Nintendo's had a history of re-releasing a lot of their handhelds with remodels and things. They take the Apple approach, really, where it's like they implement things maybe minorly in certain, like in some aspects, still charge and stuff, and people still buy it. But
yeah,
in regards to maybe clarifying some bit of maybe understanding in regards to the whole aspect of why they would go through and announce this, I mean, I look at it this way, just thinking about it while we were both like chatting about it. The original Switch, the only thing that's really better, like for this OLED one, is like the screen and like the dock instead of that stuff, and a $50 additional price point as opposed to like the original launch model Switch. Well, I'm thinking of it more or less like, okay, we have the Switch Lite, which is like a low end sort of introduction to the Switch.
Hmm.
It's handheld only. Give it to your kids. Maybe you want to just play something like that, and you don't want to connect it to the TV, do this and that. Then you have this new Switch here, the OLED one, which is substantially like more in that regards. $350. You have the OLED screen, but you can connect it to the TV if you want. But you have the little bells and whistles of it looking like it does and stuff, and have that. But what this also kind of suggests to me is like it suggests to me that they pretty much want to have it to like a low, medium, and sort of maybe a high sort of introduction stuff because if they if eventually they do release like a potential Switch Pro in that regards, one, we're not going to know for sure what exactly is going to go on unless they go through and unveil it for themselves. Maybe potentially next year, maybe whatever, but at the same point, it's like this announcement here was little, it felt like a stepping stone to something that they're going to introduce later because they want to get all this stuff out of the way first. I mean, case in point, they released special editions of like Switch systems, like say for Animal Crossing last year, for Monster Hunter Rise this year. In
Yeah,
that
they did, like
regards,
just 2 months ago they put out
yes,
a Monster Hunter Rise one.
yes, and now they have an OLED Switch here that they're going to be releasing it like early October of this year.
Yeah,
So with that regards, it's like if they release the information of a new Switch SKU next year, it's not going to be really too much of a surprise for some of us, but it makes sense for Nintendo's perspective right there because now it's like they have this announcement out of the way where they have a replacement for the standard Switch that they have, bar at $50 more. But if they want to get the audience that's like going to be like buying another Switch or maybe potentially want to have that sort of like potential like 4K sort of functionality. I'm just acting on rumors right now, just paraphrasing what the Switch Pro may have. But that in and of itself kind of makes the most sense to me, where it's like they're going to announce something maybe next year.
yeah. And I just come way more confused about saying assuming because we had all these rumors, like the rumors were right about everything except for the 4K element. That was the only thing that was wrong about it.
Yes,
And not even say that's wrong. It could have just very well been like there are a lot of people out there still saying like no, they're like this 4K one exist like this. A lot of people are still saying and like I mean I'm sure there could be some wrong to it. Like journalists are not right all the time. They are wrong. They are wrong sometimes, and they're usually right, but wrong. Every now and again, they're wrong.
there's an element
Um,
of truth to it, is what we
yeah,
need to look at, like in a look at in like that point of view. It's like whenever you get any type of rumors and information, like listeners listening out there, either on Twitch or through wherever you're listening to us, it's like you always take rumors and stuff with a grain of salt, right? And you
yeah.
always go through and understand that there is an element to truth to what people are going through and sharing with you when it comes to rumors. But at the end of the day, what we've heard about Switch Pro ever since ever since the Switch release, the original
Yeah.
Switch release in 2017 or
We were talking
20,
about
yeah.
we were talking about the Switch Pro after the reveal. Like, okay,
Yes.
when's the Switch Pro gonna after they announce how it's gonna run with 1080, the battery life, all that stuff, 720 docked, all that. I just come way more confused about this whole thing because like I don't like I think the $50 price point I think is kind of bullshit. The Switch, I mean, I'm not just making pulling this up out anywhere. Like shit costs less as the longer it's around for. That's why we have price drops. That's why when Xbox or PlayStation or whoever they want to drop the price point,
Mm,
they
yes.
announce the new model to fill in that when they want to drop the price of the base Xbox One or the base PS4, they announce the Pro and the Xbox Series X to go. So when the Xbox One or the Xbox One X, sorry, when the Xbox One X comes out, all right, cool. That the Xbox One is $500. Well, we're gonna drop that to 400, but we're gonna have the new Xbox One, the Xbox One X. Now that's only $500, or the PS4 was 400. we're gonna drop to the 300 and give the PS4 Pro for 400. That's how things work. Even with Nintendo, like when the new 3DS XL came out, they didn't raise the price point of the 3DS. They
No,
dropped the price of the old model and just had that one come out at the same price. And
especially with the new 3DS XL, because that one had a higher RAM and like had higher graphic
yeah, it
like
ran better. It had
speed.
a
Yeah,
had
it
a
ran
C the
better.
C stick on it. It had a bigger screen. Like that's what blows my mind about this whole thing is like people are comparing it. Oh, it's like the new 3DS. I'm like, no, the new 3DS XL
Mm-mm.
was better than a lot. It had the analog stick, which was should have been there at launch. It fixed that because instead of us having to buy that $50 big ass adapter to have a thumbstick for it, um, it had a bigger screen. It ran games ran better on it, and some games only had 3D on the new 3DS XL at certain points. It's like there was more benefits to buying. Like I upgraded from a 3DS to a new 3DS XL because of that.
You bring up good solid points in that regards. I kind of consider this sort of like a reminiscent to compare from Nintendo's past handhelds, sort of like a whole okay, well, we have a Game Boy Advance and then we have a Game Boy Advance SP in that
Mm-hmm.
regards, to where it's like, yes, the Game Boy Advance was a great system. It had its own like caveats too, especially like backlit screen, but that was addressed in regards to like its iteration, the SP. Better screen, backlit stuff, kind of clamshell, a little bit more portable, and this and
Smaller,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of compare it to sort of that what we're going through with the baseline Switch, and then like the Switch like OLED version,
yeah,
where it's like, okay, the screen's better, it's got its own like OLED stuff. I mean, yeah, there's the additional phone jack, and the dock looks better, and this and that and stuff, but it's just minor quality of life improvements to what you basically could already get on the market currently.
yeah.
So yeah, so just like little increments of improvements in
Yeah, I
that
mean
regards.
this isn't like this isn't new in game like every that's why we get like the slim model or we get the Xbox 360 Elite like
Yes.
we all know going into when we buy a console at launch we're buying it at the most expensive it's ever going to be and the
Yep.
worst it's ever going to be. That's just
Yep.
facts. Like we know eventually if we wait a year or two there's going to be revisions to it. They're going to be they might fix issues that they didn't know about at launch. Or like the Switch I think like a year later had a better battery life than the launch Switch. Like we know that like the 360 the original 360s had the red ring and then all that like it's just or like like they always find in ways and like we all get that there's always improvements things like that. I just don't understand like having this new model having it more expensive and then possibly if the Switch Pro does exist and it's not like it's not Switch 2 or whatever it's not the next generation Nintendo console like it just it makes it more head scratching to like if in a year they announce the Switch Pro and like whether it has the OLED screen or not, maybe they take the OLED out of it and do the 4K stuff. It's just it's the basic Switch, but it just has more RAM. Like it's just like you're all these people that just jumped and bought the OLED that paid a higher price to get the OLED, whether they got it, this is their first Switch or their second or their third or fourth, like you're just
Hmm.
gonna piss them off because
Yes.
they just bought this $350 model and then a year later you upgrade it or even 18 months later. It's like I just I it makes it like I feel like you get one shot at a mid-generation upgrade, and this was it. Where you're like, unless we're gonna have a super long generation, which it very well could be. Like I mean, this isn't new. We like the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation went on for I think like 9 years before
Yes.
between console launches.
And I argue that we haven't even seen the peak of the Nintendo Switch yet, really. I mean, it's at
Yeah,
that mid generation sort of thing to where it's like either next year or maybe like, yeah, maybe like next year or something, we may see something that's going to extend it even further, maybe for the
yeah,
next 2 or 3 years.
yeah.
It's definitely a longer generation from that point of
And
view,
that's
though.
that's my argument. Where I feel like if the Switch 4K is true, it just needs to be the next Switch.
Yep.
Like it needs to be the Wii U but good kind of thing. Where it's the next generation, but it's gonna play your old Switch games. And it's also gonna play like there's gonna be certain games that only work here. Kind of like how
Yeah.
it's like kind of like how we are with this current generation with the
Hmm.
Xbox One to the Series and the PS4 to PS5, where it's like all your old shit's gonna work on this one, but there's gonna be games that only work on it. That's just like
Yes.
if they do that, that's awesome. I'm fine with that. But if they come out and like it's still the Switch, and it's only gonna go on for another 2 or 3 years before the next console comes out. But now we have the 4K model. That's just gonna piss, like I said, this is gonna piss a lot of people off because you're gonna burn a lot of fan bit. You're gonna burn a lot of people's ass when They just spent $350 on this one, and then 12 to 18 months later, you have a new better model out. That's only gonna, it's one thing to have like the Switch Lite didn't I don't think really burn anybody's ass because it was 2 years later, and it's just
Mm.
hey, it's just a handheld version of it. It's not this isn't an upgrade, this isn't better anything. It just has a better battery life, but you can only play it. So it's like you're making a decision, and it's mostly it's like the 2DS. That's really more for kids, and if you want to get in cheaply, kind of like the
Yeah,
Series S is. It's really just if you want you can get to the new generation, and it's going to be less. It's not going to be if you don't really care about having 4K gaming, but you just want to be in the next generation. Boom, here's this model for you at 300. That's another thing. This now costs more than the fucking the the Series S, and also is only $50 less than the PS5 digital only. So
that's
yeah,
fairly
I don't.
true. That's insane to think that that is at that price to where you compare it to the digital only systems of the Xbox and like the PlayStation stuff. It's kind of eye opening to think that hey, for just maybe like $50 less or maybe like $50 more or something, you can get those systems digitally and stuff and have it be that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like I was thinking about too because a lot of us were talking about when they showed that Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yep.
We all assumed okay that's running on the next Switch, and we all talk about like there's no way like that game's gonna work on a base Switch. And it's like
Hmm.
now that really concerns me because I just assumed, and I think a lot of people did, like okay, the Switch Pro, will be out before this Pokemon Legends comes out because it kind of has to because I mean I was talking with some people about it where it's like there's a lot of the third party games on Switch like the big third party games and a lot of even first party games don't run super well on the Switch. Like I played Age of Calamity last year on
Hmm.
Switch, and that game consistently ran at 20 frames per second on single player.
Hmm.
And I've talked to multiple people that like I sold Hyrule Warriors to a lot of people when like multiple people I talked to and like, hey, what are some games you should get on the Switch when they bought a Switch outside of like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild? I was like, oh, Mario Rabbids, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Claim, like shit like that. And like I was talking to one guy, he's like, him and his daughter played through all of Hyrule Warriors on split screen. They loved it. And then the original one, and then they tried playing Age of Calamity last year, and they couldn't play it. It was like I was like I get that. Like I played single player, and it ran that game never hit 30 frames per second.
Wow.
Outside of like, unless it was in a cutscene or like, are you standing still? But if you're doing anything outside of that, that thing's chugging. Breath of the Wild, a launch game. If too much shit happened on the screen, that thing was chugging. Like,
Mm.
these aren't. I'm not trying to talk shit or throw shade here. These are just facts. And it's just crazy. Like these games are getting bigger and bigger. And it's like, how is Pokemon Legends gonna run on a base Switch, on just any Switch like any Switch? How's this thing gonna run? And I'm like, I don't even care about the 4K aspects. Like, would 4K on a Switch be great? Fuck yeah, of course.
Yes, it
I
would.
just want it. I just want these games that are already out that have been out for years now, in these bigger third-party games and shit that are coming out, to just run consistently well. If we can just hit 30 frames per second on this, the only things that run super duper well are like small games and the Wii U ports. Those are the only things that
Mm.
run 60 frames a second with no issues. That's it. Everything else, that's if it's open world or it's fucking Doom Eternal or whatever, those things run like ass. And it just it needs this console needs an upgrade more than any other console I've ever played. As far as like just kind of how big these games are getting on these things, it's like we are stretching this thing thin on what it can do, and unless Pokemon Company works fucking miracles, I'm more concerned about that game. Not because I think it's gonna be a bad game, just the hardware it's running on.
Yes, you bring up excellent points in that regards to where we're at that point and stuff where we know even when the Switch was released, when it launched, that there was a lot of old tech inside of this device. It was
Yeah,
never meant to be like a 4K esque type of device
yeah,
at launch. But in regards to a lot of the games that we have gotten since it launched, there are plenty of them that would highly benefit from upgraded hardware. You mentioned Hyrule, like Age of Calamity. That one, yes, obviously that would warrant that. Even Doom, I played through the original, like a 2016 Doom on Switch. Single player, I had to play it on the easier settings because obviously you go to the higher settings, the frame rate starts to drop because it's
Yeah.
one of those difficulties where multiple enemies pop up on the screen at once. But also, we got to keep in mind that there may be potential to where they could address these things going forward, maybe next year. But yeah, you have some valid concerns in regards to Pokemon like Arceus and stuff. That game, when they first showed it, yeah, there were elements to where it looked like it was chugging in places, and there were things
Hmm.
that were clipping, there were things that looked like there was a reduced frame rate to what it
Yeah.
was.
And
It's
that's
quintessential
and
seeing,
this was that was a commercial for that game, and it
yes,
was looking like rough in that thing.
it was looking like a base 2010 sort of game in a lot of regards because it looked like it was early. It looked like it was like in beta sort of
Oh yeah,
testing
they said
mode
early
in that.
development, which is crazy to
Right.
think that because the game is coming out 9 months after they revealed it. But
Well,
I don't
yes,
know.
of course. But to tie it back to the whole Switch OLED stuff, there was something that was interesting that some people actually caught, and that's in terms of the gameplay of
Oh yeah.
Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and like Shining Pearl and stuff. That the screenshots and the gameplay that was going through and playing, it looked like there have been some more refinements in regards to it looking better in some aspects, and not only just the battle screen, but also in terms of the animation, in terms of that stuff. So it looks like it's more than just sort of like a baseline kind of lazy port in that regards. So
Hmm.
it's interesting to see how that was like shoehorned into this whole like Switch OLED screen announcement. But in that regards, it's like it's honestly, I just really feel like that there should be better hardware for Switch games to run better. There should be a way that we could like play the game on handheld and maybe have a consistent like 30 to 60 frames. That would be a dream in that
Hmm.
regards, to where you'd have it in your hand. I mean, we are past the point where, hey, we have console games on the go. I mean, that's fine and stuff, but they run like shit.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to play them.
Yeah. And
So yeah, having a device like a Switch Pro, if it's a hybrid system, it's a hybrid system. If it's a console system, then it's a console system. But the point being is we have plenty of great first party games, plenty of great third party games. They need to have the hardware to match the demand that they are putting effort into if you want to get the best experience.
yeah. And my thing is like going in like with Nintendo here, where it's like I'm not, and I don't think any realistic Nintendo fan or any realistic gamer with Nintendo consoles is going in wanting, fucking 4K HDR 120 frames. We don't come to Nintendo for like top end fucking $5,000 PC. Like we
Well,
go to
right.
Nintendo because they have the most nostalgia. They have the best games. I mean, they really do. They have the most fun games to play consistently. All the first party games are consistently always fun to play,
Right.
whether they're your bag or not or whatever. And we come here for that. That's what we want. We don't. It's just I want. And these games are getting bigger and bigger. And like the Pokemon Legends Arceus is like I I that is my dream game since I was fucking 6 years old. For what I wanted, I wanted that big open world Pokemon game,
Yep.
and this is that. It's they are like they in that ad we got for it, and the reveal we got for it, they fucking teased that as Pokemon Breath of the Wild, and you can't say I'm wrong, and I don't think anybody will because they did the music cues just like they did with when they revealed Breath of the Wild. They shot it just
Yep.
like it was a Breath of the Wild trailer. Like they are pushing that as Pokemon Breath of the Wild, and I want that game so bad. I don't need it at 4K. I don't need it at fucking with HDR. I don't even want not even asking 30 or 60 frames per second. Just 30 frames per second, and it consistently, and a nice decent sized open world, and I'm be happy as shit. Be a pig and
Look
shit.
good, play good. That
Yeah.
is the standard that we are looking forward to for
Yeah.
Pokemon like
Not even look
Arceus.
good. Just play. Just look well and play consistently well, and then also are fun to play.
Oh
That is the
yeah.
baseline for us with Nintendo on with their hardware. So I don't know. I mean yeah I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I think we should probably just move on to the next thing. Let me pull up my the thing on my phone here because like I said I don't want to my computer's making some noises that I don't want to make any more of. So Give me a second here. If it will just load, then fucking. Oh my god. Now my computer, now my phone's running shit. Okay, so we have the Deathloop State of Play.
Mm.
Um, I think it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday.
Yep.
So they came into so they had like nine. It's about 30 minutes long. About 9 minutes of gameplay for Deathloop. And they were going to focus on like some third party games, mostly indie games. Um, so it started off with Moss Book 2, which is the sequel to Moss that came out in 2017, I want to say. It's
Okay.
a PSVR. It was PSVR It's a VR exclusive game. It was PSVR exclusive for a while. I think it's now on like Oculus Quest and stuff like that. Um, but they said it's now in development. They would not. Somebody asked them in an interview later on, after this words if it's going to be if this is a PSVR 2 game, and they would not confirm. Um, Ilphonic's next game, which is the Friday the 13th and Predator Hunting Ground people, they announced Arcade Get 'em. It is now it's actually on early access now for PS5, and I think they said it's coming out later this year. But it's like a third-person co-op looter shooter. It's kind of got like the kind of like a Knockout City graphic style, but it's like I said, it's a third-person shooter game, but it also looks like it's got the battle royale style where like you kill somebody, you can take all their shit. They also announced Hunter's Arena, which is a 30-player melee focused fantasy battle royale game. We got like a trailer for that. It's going to be coming to PS4 and PS5 next month, and it'll actually be the PS Plus game for August.
Mm.
Um, Next, we got Fist Forged in the Shadow Torch, which I believe was revealed last year at the PS5, one of the PS5 events. It's one of the indie games. It's like a Metroidvania like 2D game. Um, new trailer. We got a release date September 7th. It's the one with the bunny that has like the giant fist fucking thing out of his back. Um, Sifu, which is it's that martial arts fighting game that like every time you die you age a little bit more. That game was supposed to come out this year. They now revealed it's gonna be early 2022. Uh, Demon Slayer was revealed. It's like it's based off of anime, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's
I thought
based
I
upon
saw
the
it on
popular
Netflix.
anime and manga series.
Okay, yeah. So there's a game coming out for that. Got some gameplay for that. I don't know if that's the reveal for. Oh, it was revealed. Yep.
Yes.
Uh, so that was the reveal. I don't. There was no date given on that one. And then finally ended with we had Death Stranding, the director's cut, which was revealed at Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest earlier this month. It's coming out September 24th. Um, they're adding a bunch of like weapons. They announced that the gameplay of the like fighting style is better. They added more weapons. There's like a cargo catapult. There's a support skeleton. There's a buddy bot that'll carry stuff for you. There's a ramp. They added new missions, stuff like that. Um, it's it's coming out to be for you can get it for PS4 or PS5.
Mhm.
The PS if you already own it on our no actually it's PS5 only. I'm sorry. But if you already own it on PS4, it's a $10 upgrade to get that. Otherwise, I think it's $60. Um, then it finally ended with Deathloop. More gameplay for that. A bunch of 9-minute gameplay. That's already got a release date September 14th, but it's kind of like the final big push, which is something that's pretty common for like Nintendo Directs and state of
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
where we get a month or so out from a game and they do that big push for it at the end. Um, Coming out of the Gables, what was your overall thoughts on this state of play?
Honestly, I didn't really feel like I was impressed with the state of play. I mean, granted, Sony already let us know beforehand there wasn't going to be any major first party
Yeah,
like reveals or
no
announcements in
Horizon
that
and no God of
regards.
War specifically. They said no first party stuff.
Even
Official.
with that, though, I mean, there were some highlights that I thought was really interesting. I mean, obviously, Moss 2, that's a game that did fairly well on PlayStation VR. I know this instantly when I saw it, oh, Tyler's going to be excited about playing this one.
Yeah,
But in regards to the other stuff, I mean, Arcade-Geddon or something like that. I mean, I didn't realize it was from the same developers as Friday the 13th and the Predator Hunting Grounds. I mean, that's interesting. I may give that a
depressing.
try when it actually goes through and like PlayStation Plus though, but it is like a
Well, no,
is it
that's on early access right now.
okay, that's on early access. I must
The
have
Hunter's Arena is PS Plus.
okay, Hunter's Arena. Okay, that oh yeah, that makes sense now. I had those two mixed up
Yeah,
for some reason. But
it was very confusing. I mean, they're two totally different games, but they're also like the same style of like online kind of battle royale style
yeah,
games, and
I
now
don't
it's back to
understand.
back.
I don't understand why they freaking did that because it's like two of the same games and like the same shit. But anyway, Yeah, Hunter's Arena, it looked kind of basic, but at the same time, I will give it a try when it comes to PlayStation Plus. I mean, hell, it's a new game. It's something that I haven't played in a while, but god damn, people really need to stop borrowing the formula. Freaking like Borderlands meets fucking Fortnite shit, or like just Destiny 2, or just borrowing just like
Yeah.
yeah, just random
It,
shit. It's already done to death for God's
yeah,
sakes.
I was. This was gonna be my thing when we got to when I went to talk about, but I just want to jump in here with that where it's just like,
Right.
it's the, like we see this all the time. This has been the fad for a while. Battle royale games, live service games are they're the fad right now, and it's just there's too many of them. I feel like I know that if these things hit, they're gonna be big fucking money makers for you, but man, it's I feel like the odds of you hitting on this are so small that there's 1,000 of these fucking live service games and um, live service games and battle royale games that come out that just die immediately. That there's so many like as soon as you see them, like that's not gonna fucking last. And sometimes they come out and surprise us. Some games come out of the fucking nowhere, but it's like what 1 out of 1,000, 1 out of 500 of these connect, and I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's like there's that's been the big thing we've been talking about since I don't know Destiny. Like Destiny is the one that really kind of got the whole live kickstarted this whole live service thing um, for us and bringing like MMOs to the consoles. Um, and a lot of us said it then, and it still kind of holds true now. We're like, there's only so many games people can play at a time. Like a lot of people I think they might have one game they go back to, and maybe they can play. Like Gables always plays Destiny 2. That's his side game he plays, or then he always usually has another game or two that he's playing. That he's currently working on. But like people can't. There's no way people can like you can't have Destiny 2, Division 2, Warzone, Fortnite. You can't play all these games at the same fucking time, or even like play for a month here, jump for a month. Like I just don't understand how like people consistently have like it's like it's cool. Like you see like Knockout City, that game was cool for like a couple weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a blast with that for like a week that I played it, and then I just kind of moved on. I feel like there's still an audience there. Like there's definitely like it's like mobile games like that like there's like a whole audience there that we don't even know exists or like even I'll fully understand. Like I get that. Like I know there's some of these games can sufficiently run well, but I just feel like I said, it feels like for every 500 of these games come out, one sticks.
Yeah, that's the problem though with a lot of these live service sort of games and stuff. These free to play like
Well,
aspects. Some of
and
these
some of these games
games.
are a lot of these games aren't free. You got to pay for them.
I know, but yeah, it's like a lot of these particular types of games. They've basically been done to death. I mean, it's like what you were just saying, Tyler. And I do agree to a point where it's like you only have so much time a day in order to try to invest inside of a game of this type. For like Hunter's Arena and stuff. I mean, a lot of the gameplay that we did see in the state of play and a lot of the things that they did feature. I mean, pretty much have been done better in other games of its type. If I wanted to play a looter shooter with everything else, I could just go on to Destiny 2 and stuff and just play more of that and just grind out things in that MMO style of first person shooter. Or you know what, if I really wanted to like just have something similar in regards to whatever, I mean there are other options as well, Dead by Daylight. I could
Yeah.
potentially do Warzone if I chose to, but at the same time it's like there's like a dime a dozen. It's like if you don't like this one or something like that, I mean, you'll just stick to the one that you'll like most that you'll play with like your friends and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
it's like a basic play for a week and then maybe never touch it again sort of
yeah. You
aspect.
got to find that niche for that works for you.
Right.
Like whether it's sometimes like Call of Duty Warzone, it's an IP that we know. Stuff like you got to find something like you just talking about Ilphonic, their arcade get 'em
Yes.
thing, and like I said, like that's depressing to like see like
Yeah, that is
this is their
because
new
they're
game
making.
where it's like I love Predator Hunting Ground, I love Friday the 13th, and like we had a like when we did all the Friday the 13th like game nights that we did, and, like the extra life we did that playing for hours. That game's a fucking blast, but if it was generic one of these and wasn't Friday the 13th, we wouldn't give a shit. It was fun because it's Friday the 13th. It's like there
Yep.
was that they had that tied to it. Predator Hunting Ground is I love that game and I wish I had people to play with because I would that'd be a game I'd play all the time with friends. But I like it. I love it because it's Predator. Like if it was
Mm,
just some generic fucking game that didn't have the Predator IP, I wouldn't give a shit. But it's like I don't
right.
know. We've seen these guys make pretty fun games with cool IPs, and it's like oh cool. It's like it's your first ever you owned IP, and you made a Fortnite Knockout City looking looter shooter. That oh cool. It's the first ever early access game on PlayStation. Um,
Hmm.
no one's People might play in early access. They might play it for when it comes out officially, but I don't. I think it comes out next year actually officially. They said. I don't feel like anybody's gonna give a shit
But to go
unless.
back on,
But
but
go ahead.
yeah. But anyway, like going back on the other parts of the state of play and stuff. I thought the Demon Slayer gameplay looked like a standard action game. It did look fairly like nice in regards to the whole graphical style and in regards to the whole like cel shaded sort of 3D action game sort of vibe and stuff. This looks like a game that would be fun to play like in between like other games. I'm not too familiar with the IP. I realize it's part of an anime and manga series that's highly successful in Japan and extremely successful in America. I mean, hell, its manga series alone outsold a lot of the mediocre crap that's going around the United States in terms of their comics. But other than that, though, it's like the Deathloop gameplay. I mean, we've seen plenty of Deathloop. I mean, yeah, there were aspects of it that looked fairly interesting, but even knowing then and seeing what we got, it didn't really like did too much more for me. But
Yeah.
that game Judgment, just before it,
Oh yeah.
that one gave me the same type of vibes as like Yakuza Like a Dragon did, to where it actually looked fairly intriguing. I mean, there's a lot of silly shit you'll do because in the Yakuza series, even the spin-off games, you do a lot of silly shit, riding go-karts, singing in the karaoke bar, doing that. That's the fun shit that gives that series in general a great personality, and that's why people absolutely love this. I actually liked that more so than I did of most of the stuff that was shown in that state of play. And what's interesting is Judgment. You can actually try that out in regards to PlayStation Now, and that's something that
Mm.
I actually did not know until after the presentation. Maybe a day later, I checked PlayStation Now. I was like, I could download this thing. Wait, I could stream this. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be an interesting thing to try out. So yeah, but the state of play, Tyler, even though we were told beforehand, don't expect this and that, I mean, I couldn't help but be like, just meh. It was a state of
Yeah.
play. I mean, there was some good stuff that people liked, but it just fell flat.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I come away from most of these state of plays, unless it's like because most of these things are they either game specific or they tell you at least they tell you what's gonna be there and they tell you what's not gonna be there. More importantly,
Right.
and they always like that's why like we talk a lot about like Nintendo about their like when like we talk about their directs like they do all the big shit there and like
Yes.
that's where all their news comes from for the most part. Um, and but the problem is they tell us this is what we're focusing on. But then they always lie. Well, not always, but
Yep.
they consistently lie to us about what they're going to do. So it's like we don't believe anything they do. So it's like, so then we all get our hopes up, even though they say that they're only doing this. But then, like, well, you guys lie all the time. So why would we believe you? So then we expect this.
We're
It's like,
conditioned to expect more.
yeah, because a lot of times they give us more, and like it's awesome when it hits, but when they have it, but when they don't have it, we're all disappointed, even though they did exactly what they said they're gonna do. But it's like, oh, this time you fucking did it, but the other 9 times you didn't. And like that's the one thing I do appreciate, and I keep a lower bar for these things where it's like I know like they don't do big ass reveals at these things. Like I don't think they're just gonna out of the blue like would just show God of War Ragnarok
Mhm.
or announce the next big first party game on these things without specifically saying so, which I do appreciate because it kind of keeps me level headed in what to expect. Like the Ratchet and Clank one, they said they're going to focus on 2 games and then it's going to be 20 minutes of Ratchet and Clank, and that's exactly what we got. Whether you want it or not, that's what you're getting. And like, it's like,
Right.
yeah, does it give us the hypest, most awesome like moments? No, but I don't know. I'd rather go in with low expectations and hit those expectations than go in with like impossibly high, or it could be anything, and then obviously then you just come away bummed out. Just it's a good way to set. It's just nice set when they set the bar and they kind of hit that. But the Moss 2 thing was cool. It's just it's my favorite. Or Moss was like is still my favorite PSVR or VR experience yet. It's really the one game on VR where I'm like, this is incredible. Like I really really love this. And nothing ever really has done that for me. Like it's everything else I played just feels like a tech demo,
Right.
or just they're not good. It's a bad game. Um, I I hope this is on base PSVR, so I don't have to buy a PSVR 2 because
Oh
I
my
have a
god.
PSVR and it's outside of Moss, it's not really worth it. For me personally, it's not worth the $300 I spent for it. So I want to play Moss 2. I just don't want to. I'm not going to buy a VR headset to play it. Um, we already touched upon like uh, Hunter's Arena and Arcade Again. Fist. I mean, okay. I mean that game was revealed. It's nice they got a release date for it. That's kind of like the big thing is like last year at the PlayStation 5 events, the two that they had, like they showed off a lot of games with 2021 release dates, and obviously pandemic, video game delays happen all the time, anyways. But,
Right.
all the shit. But it's like there's a lot of games that they have scheduled still for 2021 that don't have dates yet, and like we haven't
No.
heard much about. Like we had like the last state of play we had, they showed Solar Ash gameplay, and it's like that still said 2021. It's like we're in July. They showed Jet gameplay in this thing, and they still said 2021, but there's no date. Stray has a 2021 release date, and we haven't even seen gameplay. We don't even know what the game is yet.
Wow.
They just had a teaser trailer last year for it, over a year ago at this point. Like there's a ton of games that like I said, if they get delayed, they get delayed. I'm not really, but it's just like we're like I was expect. My thing was I was expecting more updates from like the third party stuff. I was expecting a lot of updates on that more so than anything, and it's just like man,
Yes.
like I just figured we like Seafood getting delayed 2020. Like we did get some updates, like Seafood getting delayed 2022. That game looks incredible. I don't know if it's
It
gonna be
does.
it's a what the fuck those games called, the you die repeat shit,
Roguelike.
roguelikes. Thank you. It's that, which aren't my bag, but I, don't, I hope this game looks incredible and I want to play it. Um, the Death Stranding director's cut. So I went on a whole rant last week about the Ghost of Tsushima, making you pay $10 to upgrade. And if you want to hear that rant, you hear it. This one, I will say, does not bother me though. Even though I did pay the $80 once again to buy this game digitally, um, it does not bother me being a $10 upgrade because they are adding a bunch of shit to this. They're not putting a PS5 stuff upgrade behind a paywall. This is they're adding a bunch of new missions. They're upgrading the gameplay. They're new cutscenes. There's they're making the game. It just seems like easier overall. To it's kind of it's like it's a fix it thing for like I think like I love the world and the characters and everything about Death Stranding. I just hated actively playing the game, and this like
It
feels
actually
like
makes it seem like it's gonna be enjoyable.
yeah. So Gables, I might give this game a fifth attempt and
you're
pay
just
the
gonna
$10.
you're just gonna fucking pay that $70 for this one and then like
The only thing that concerns me though is in the blog post they said that your save transfers over relatively close to where you were before, which I don't know what the fuck that means.
relatively close.
Yeah, so
So you
like if I'm
probably
on,
could be like close to like an
it's
hour
like,
before your
oh, you're
last
on chapter
checkpoint.
17. Well, you're relatively close to chapter 4, which is where we're gonna start you at. And like 30 hours of gameplay ago. Yeah, so I might not, probably not this fall because it's September 24th. We're going to talk about here in a little bit some of the stuff we're looking forward to, but for the rest of the year. But maybe I don't know next year or something like that. I might give it a chance. But yeah, God damn it. And then Deathloop, I feel like that's a game that you were already sold on it anyways. But I get it,
Yes.
because I think it's one of those things you want to keep in the public eye, especially as we're getting closer to the launch. It's just, we see these, like I said, like a lot of games aren't the big AAA games for first party where it's like Nintendo and shit like that. Like they do a direct specifically about that game like when it gets close to launch, kind of like it's more so to get people that aren't already interested into it because I feel like we've seen it like 10 times already, and I talked about it a year ago. I was burnt out on seeing that game, because it was at like we've seen it like 5 or 6 times, and I
Yep.
think we've now seen it twice now since then. Like I think we've had two new trailers this year, and plus now this. So it's, yeah, like I said, if you wanted it, you've already got it. Or I mean, if you want to play it, you're already gonna play it. Um, so yeah, I'm not like super hyped for it, so I don't see myself. Uh, I wasn't super hyped for that, but I mean it's whatever. It's kind of like the state of play for Ratchet last month or 2 months ago that we had. Um, they kind of I didn't even bother watching it outside of the two games that were shown off at it, because like I already knew I was gonna buy Ratchet, so I don't need to fucking watch a 20-minute thing on it. But moving on to our last um, real news topic we have this week. It's actually the May NPDs. So I was telling Gills for the show, it's like we always do the NPDs every month, and I'm like, why is it like where the fuck is this was Maze at? Like, and I went and I found an article for it, and it came out during E3, so it just got buried. That's
Yep.
why I didn't hear about it at the time. So we're just gonna run through real fast. I think next week we'll have the June NPD, so we'll just have back-to-back weeks of it. So running through real fast here, the top 20. So I think the first one I think is the most interesting, honestly. Number 20, Days Gone, jumping from 247th to 20th. I'm wondering if that because I think I had a PS5 update and then like an update for it to run better.
Okay.
And also it came out PC last month, I think too. I don't know if PC counts though for this, but anyways, number 19, Pokemon Sword and Shield. 18, Breath of the Wild. 17, Monster Hunter Rise, which dropped from 7th to 17th. Uh, 16, Valhalla. 15, Biomutant, that was launch month in May for it.
Okay.
13 was Smash Bros. Ultimate. Actually, Biomutant came out. I jumped one. I'm sorry. 15th being Biomutant. It came out at the end of the month, which is kind of surprising, I think. To see it there. 14th was It Takes Two. 13th was Smash Bros. Ultimate. 12 was 3D World. Mario 3D World, that is. 11 was Miles Morales. 10, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. 9, Minecraft. 8, Animal Crossing. 7, Returnal. 6, Mario Kart 8. 5, Mortal Kombat 11. That's weird. 4, New Pokemon Snap. Um, 3 was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. 2, MLB The Show. And number 1, Assassin's Creed Village. Or Assassin's Creed Village. Resident Evil Village. Sorry. So yeah, it's kind of an eclectic little month there. Like seeing Days Gone jump 220, almost 230 spots to number 20. It's pretty cool to see. Biomutant kind of came out to like middling reviews, seeing like a lot of sevens for that game. And it's kind of a another radar like a double A game, full price double A game. I think it came
Hmm.
out like the May 20th kind of May 25th area. So that's cool to see like that game. That game looks interesting, but it's one of those games I'm waiting for like a sale on. But yeah, it's cool to see it like to make the top 20 at least. What was that? Oh yeah, Returnal holding it at number 7 after it's still holding the top 10. I think it came out on April 30th,
Yes.
so that kind of gives it a boost where as its first full month on the market, still seeing in the top 10. It wasn't really a lot of big games coming out. New Pokemon Snap also came out, which is funny enough. So New Pokemon Snap came out on April 30th as well,
Yep.
but it still landed number 3 the previous month in April's NPDs, even though it was only on the market
Hmm.
for like 4 days of the NPD. Because for quick reminder, NPDs don't just run from May 1st to 31st. It runs until the end of that week. So if 31st is on a Tuesday, it'll run all the way to Saturday.
Yep.
So you might go to June 3rd. That's usually how it works. So I think it was the April. So it had like 2 or 3 days on the market for last month NPDs and still was number 3. Still holding at number 4. MLB The Show came out on April 23rd and was number 1. And here it is, number 2. And the Resident Evil Village came out on my birthday, May 7th, and number 1. And I think they said it's like the fastest selling Resident Evil game. I think they said just actually this week it's over 4.5 million copies sold.
Wow.
So
There you go.
yeah, holding still doing really really well. And then obviously, Black Ops Cold War number 2. No shock. What was your thoughts, Gables?
Well, my thoughts about that is, yeah, very surprising with Days Gone. I mean, hell, that's cool. That's cool. Looking at back into the MPT top 20. Not too surprised with Resident Evil Village because that was highly hyped up and there was a lot of interesting stuff going on leading up to its launch. Returnal, not surprised that it's still high up on the MPDs in the month of May. Let's see. But other than that, though, there was just a lot of the standard type of things in that regards. I mean, MLB The Show, obviously, it's on two platforms, so it's going to be up there in terms of sales, but that's honestly kind of surprising considering that it's in Game Pass,
Yeah.
digitally, and also on the fact that you can't really like get it. You basically have to pay like the $60 or $70. So the fact that people went out to buy the physical copies of these sports games, that is actually pretty interesting in that
Yeah.
regards.
Well, we see that we saw this with Outriders earlier this year, where it came out on
Yes.
Xbox day one on Game Pass, but it was still like a top. I think it was like third the month. I think it was like in March or February when it came out, and still was selling super duper well. So
Right.
we see even though games are on Game Pass, people will buy them. That's like a kind of like a thing we don't. It kind of gets buried as like games on Game Pass. You can buy them for like I think it's like 20% off
Yes, you
if they're on
can.
Game Pass. And they I was kind of hearing there's actually like a pretty decent amount of people that buy games on Game Pass will just straight up buy them because they're discounted. So I want there's
Hmm.
that little thing underneath there that we don't really hear about too often. But I mean I imagine it's probably not like 50-50, but I mean there's people that will like, oh, I love this game, I'm just gonna go out outright just own it. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like a lot of chalk. I was looking here. There's only 7 Nintendo Switch exclusive games on here, so maybe that's why. Like, oh, we're slipping a little bit. We better fucking put out the Swole LED, because normally it's like 9 or 10 or 11. So maybe that's what kind of made him break the glass on the Swole LED. But I was telling you for the show, it's kind of a shorter shorter news this week, even though we spent like almost an hour talking about the news. Um,
Yes.
I did want to kind of like we do this usually every year. We're about the midway point now of the year. So Gables, I thought I'd ask, kind of, we're like I said halfway through the year. What's kind of like your contender for like game of the year so far?
All right. So I was thinking about that, and it's basically I was looking at a lot of my lists,
I'm looking at mine
for
right now.
yeah, I'm looking at my notebook right here. This is basically the games that I've beaten the entirety of 2021 so far, and obviously I'm still up to July. And in regards to like the mid game of the year thing so far, I mean it's really not too much of like a contest to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, when I think about it, I'm looking at games like It Takes Two. I'm looking at games like Rain on Your Parade, New Pokemon Snap, like things like that. Plus, Mario Golf Super Rush, and even like another game that I will obviously talk about with you because I think we both played the same game for this topic and stuff. But in this regards, I feel like It Takes Two is definitely has been that halfway point game of the year for me because of the co-op experience that you and I both went through. Obviously, the streaming it, that was a special moment right there where it's like you and
Yeah,
I both discovered like the in-depth like craziness and also the hodgepodge of like how deep this game actually gets in regards to that and all the surprisingly funny and like hilarious sort of movie references and various like shit that they actually go forth and put these parents like through, and just basically us realizing how shitty these two parents are in
yeah,
general.
not good people at all.
So It Takes Two definitely is that game of the year for me so far.
Nice. Yeah, I was thinking about it because like I think it's kind of like a 1A kind of argument for myself right now, where like It Takes Two is probably up there, and then like Haven is the other one
Oh,
for
really?
me, where
Okay.
like
Yeah, yeah. You really like that game.
I still listen to the soundtrack once a week at least. So whenever I do the show notes, I'm usually listening to I pop that soundtrack on, listen to it, and like it's a great soundtrack. It's a great game. Um, so yeah, it's definitely those are like 101A right now where I'm like I'm not ready to have that argument yet. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold off because especially because who knows what's gonna happen by December. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean yeah, it hasn't been like a it's been a okay year. Like I don't think I would say this
Yeah.
year it's kind of on par to like I'm looking at I was thinking about like like we kind of got spoiled in 2017, 2018.
Hmm.
2020 was a really great year I thought as well, despite the pandemic and everything. For games, video game wise, it was a really great year.
Yes.
2019 was we've talked about it was a pretty down year, and I feel like it's kind of we're at that same point now where it's like it's not like I feel like the quality overall this year has been is at this point is compared to like midway through um, 2019 has been better. But like we don't have like there's been some good like smaller not top class AAA games, but like there's been a good balance of smaller games that kind of get us through this year, and then there's
Right.
definitely some bigger games coming out this year, but like um, we haven't seen like there's like this year I don't think it's gonna be those runaway, 2 or 3 games
No,
where
this
I feel like
honest.
this it's gonna be like 2018 where like Sekiro ended up winning the Game of the Year at Game Awards, where it's like we went in like usually you get like okay it's either this or that it's Breath of the Wild or it's fucking Mario Odyssey or it's 2018 it's God of War or I can't remember what the other one was. God of War won it, but I can't remember. There was like an argument between God of War and something else. Then like I remember like 2019 there was like 6 games and it's like all these are contenders. Like I don't know and I feel like kind of right now at this point in 2021 like even looking at like the AAA stuff. You look at like a lot of people I think like I'll be looking at this point like Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Hitman 3, Resident Evil 8. Like I don't like all of those games. I think have a good chance of like as far as like being like like the top AAA like game of the year. Like those are probably like the front runners. But all of those have a good argument to be it. Where like I said, most years there's like okay one or two of these are actually the real contenders. Um,
Honestly, it kind of feels like to me that we're going to be, in years past when we've done our game of the year stuff, we've obviously had like a slew of games that could potentially be called game of the year or it was hard and struggle. This feels like, and I hope it's not the case, it's going to be one of those years and stuff to where like in the past these would have been like games that would have been the like maybe 9, 10 in that regards like low on the list. All of a sudden they're going to be extremely high because haven't had that we haven't had that one or two killer app game that
yeah,
is released in that year where we are just raving about how great that damn thing is.
yeah, or like the margin between 9 and 2 isn't as big as it in past years. Where like
Yes.
past years like number 2 on your list and number 9, even though you really like number 9, the gap between 9 and 2 is drastic. Where I feel like yeah, like 2019, where I look at between like 10 and 1, the margin isn't that big of a difference than like any other year. Where like oh man, like number 3 on my list very well could have on a different day could have been number 7 on my list or number 10 on my list.
Well,
Number 1 on my
yeah.
list very well could have been 6 on my list. Like in 2019, I look at like most years it's like I've talked about this before. Like my usually like my top 3 is like I already know the top 3, and it's just a matter of putting those in order usually,
Yeah.
and then everything else just kind of falls into place after that. And like I feel like like 2019 was not that case. Where I'm just like man, like every like everything like Control was like I think ninth on my list, and it had like I'm like that like I even said last week that game would have been game of the year if it just ran better, because that probably was my game of the year.
Mm.
If I would have played it like 3 weeks after launch, it would have been my game of the year with the updates. But I played it at launch, and that game just ran badly. That's what killed it for me.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like that this has kind of been like a lame duck year in terms of like game releases. And now, barring this is before I've had a chance to try potential games like say Returnal or Resident Evil Village or like whatever in that regards. And this is also before maybe next month, for me because I want to play No More Heroes 3, and then there's like other games obviously that by the end of
Oh
this
yeah,
year I want to go through and buy and play. But so far, it's like I haven't had that sort of that moment and stuff where it's like, okay, this is definitely my favorite game this year so far. I mean,
yeah,
hell, I'm going on to Game Pass and I'm just picking through games and stuff like that, trying them out, seeing
yeah,
if that's something. And I'm basically fucking playing Plants vs Zombies right now in regards to
yeah.
my 360, like a 360 game in that regards, because it's like it's a game. Hey, is this good? I can go through and play it like this, and that, but yeah, I'm just waiting for that moment this year.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's like, like I think we're definitely at the point where the pandemic, we're really seeing how badly the pandemic has kind of hit
Yep,
video game. Just I mean, we already knew how bad. I mean, just in the world of video game releases, this is when like the effects are really taking place. When like I think we kind of knew.
absolutely.
We even talked about this last year. I was like, okay, the games that might have been coming out in 2 months might come out in 6 months now, and are the games that are close might just get pushed a little bit. Like we saw, like Last of Us 2 get delayed a month
Yeah,
because of it and stuff like that. Those games were like that game was supposed to come out, I think in April. Pandemic hit in March, and they had to push it to I think June or something
yep.
like that. So like, but those games that were a year away are now 18 months to 2 years away, kind of shit. And like that's like I said before, I feel like 2022 and 2023, we're gonna get fucking flooded with game after game. Like we're gonna be like we'll be in like 2017, 2018 on steroids. I feel
So
like.
we're basically kind of close to the same aspect of game developments like we were seeing back around the mid 2000s and even earlier than that, where games would take like anywhere between 3 to 5 years to actually go through and hit the market. But yet the quality of those games, some of those games, not all, but some of those games would be actually fantastic, like genre defining, like
Yeah,
platform defining games that you need to play.
yeah. There's there's every 2014, 2015 were kind of those middling years going. Like 2014 especially was kind of a down year for gaming, and it wasn't a bad year, but I mean like there wasn't. Yeah, there's just like when you play games sometimes like you're playing it's magic. Like what you're doing right now is magic. Like this is the like game. This is like all time. Like you feel those moments, of like as a gamer when you're fucking in it in a game. And it's like this is like I'm gonna remember this game for the rest of my life. Like with the first time, playing through like God of War, the entire time I'm playing that game, like this is top notch. It's my all-time favorite game. Or like Last of Us for the first time, or like maybe Uncharted 2 or 3, or Mario 64, or Mario Odyssey, where it's like these are like games. These are the kind of things like I'm like these are like game of the year. It's like, I yeah like there hasn't been that game this year, and sometimes we get lucky. Sometimes there's like that just happens. Like you might go a year or two without having that. You might have two or three games like that in a year, and like I was talking about, we were spoiled in 2017, 2018, and in 2020 we got spoiled in a really shitty year where we needed those games the most. They
Yep.
came through, and it's like we're just I don't know. I mean, like I'm not really upset about it. I kind of expected 2021 to kind of be um, I talked about even last year going into 2021. It's like this is a weird year. Like usually in 2021 you have a good idea
Hmm.
what's coming, and you already have a lot of release dates. And it's like here we are, and
We
you know
don't.
we're halfway through the year. We don't really know. We have like it's for the most part it's in place, but there's like Horizon might get released this year. Halo Infinite doesn't have a release date yet.
No.
Uh, it's like there's a lot of games that, like yeah, like Call of Duty. The next Call of Duty has not been announced yet officially. I mean,
That's actually crazy to think that
yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
The new
it's gonna
Call of
be
Duty game
but kind
announced.
of speaking of games coming out later this year, I was like, what like some of the games like what are the games you're looking forward to for the rest of 2021?
All right, so this is going to be interesting. I mean, barring Sony stuff, since I don't really know. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing No More Heroes 3, like I just was stating before. I am definitely looking forward to seeing how Psychonauts 2 goes through and plays, in that regards. I mean, I can still download and play it despite having Xbox One S. Um, Obviously, there's going to be plenty of Nintendo content I'm going to be wanting to try out. I mean, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. I mean, that's definitely something. I love those games. Diamond and Pearl, that's one of my favorite generations of Pokemon games. So seeing through and buying Brilliant Diamond and stuff and playing it on my Switch, that's going to be a fun piece of nostalgia to revisit. I'm also looking forward to Metroid Dread, obviously. That's the number one game I'm actually looking forward to for the rest of the year because we haven't had a 2D Metroid game like that style since Fusion back around 2003, I want to say. And other than that, it's like there are just some games I do want to look forward to play. There's actually games that have released I am looking forward to eventually playing, like the whole Ghost and Goblins
Oh,
Resurrection. That that game I hear is absolutely tough as balls. It lacks the double jump feature of previous Ghost and Ghost and Goblin games, but it's $30. I may want to go through and play that, because I'm a fan of Ghost and Goblins. I mean, I'd be great at those games, but at the same time, I want to try that. Obviously, the PS5 games that have released currently this year, I do want to eventually try if they go on sale. But yeah, the number one game is Metroid Dread, and then like number two is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond.
nice. So I have the my notepad thing where I keep in all my notes for like
Yeah.
I talked about before. Like I have my notepad that like I keep track of release dates for games, and then also if I pre-ordered them, I bold them and I put where I pre-ordered them at. That way, I don't have multiple pre-orders for the same game.
Yes.
Um, so I've got most of actually of the games I want to play already pre-ordered and like paid
Nice.
off. Um,
Wow. Okay.
but like there's a couple like the new Madden, obviously when that comes out. I haven't pre-ordered yet. Because I'm mostly irritated because I'm the guy that buys the $80 edition in past years, but
Uh-huh.
I get the discount. Like so if you buy it usually in the past years, if you bought it through like so Madden 20 like say like Madden 21, I bought it if you like up if you open up if you start playing Madden 20 and the home screen of Madden 20, you buy it through them on that home screen, you get a 10% discount. But it also if you own EA Play, you get a 10% discount. So I would buy the $80 edition that gets you it 3 days early, and I get
Right.
20% off, and I end up
Okay.
paying like 60 something bucks for it, like $65. So like whatever, get it for now the $80 edition. So now the base edition of Madden 22 is now $70, which whatever. But they raised the 3 day early access one instead of like so the base game went up $10, but the 3 day early access went up $20. So now it is a
Oh,
hundred
come
fucking
on.
dollars, and they got rid of the $10 or the 10% discount in the home screen, but you still get the discount on EA Play for $10. So I can get it for 90,
Oh,
but that's a
brother.
20 still about $25 increase. So I'm like, I'll just fucking what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get EA Play on my PS5 when it comes out because you can play like because it comes out August 20th base wise.
Mhm.
If you have EA Play, you can start playing it August 12th for 10 hours. And I'm like, I'll just do that, and then I'll just buy the base model. That's $70. Get the 10% off there, so it'll be like $63, and I'll just do that. I need a pre-order. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Um, and mostly just because I'm bitter about it. Like fuck
I
this.
don't blame you. I mean, you play the
Uh,
damn game every
yeah.
year and all of a
Even
sudden they
though
like it?
even though I'm gonna put like 150 to 250, 300 hours in this thing, it'll be the one game that will be no doubt worth $100 for me. I'm not gonna do. I'm not. I can't. I'm not gonna pay an extra $20 or I get this guy an extra $30 to play the game 3 days early. That's not
Yep.
worth $10 a day.
Yeah, no shit.
Um, but coming up, like Last Stop is a game I've been looking forward to for a while now. It's
Okay.
like it's made with the people that made Virginia, which I really liked.
Oh yeah, okay.
Um, so I love the art style, and it's like a kind of a weird like spooky sci-fi thing where like there's three different characters, and their stories intertwine. I think it takes place in like London, and like I think like travel like there's like travel through time. Each character has like some special shit happen to them. It's coming to everything. It's been like they announced a couple years ago, I think. It's coming to everything. Um, it's been pushed a lot of like Nindy Directs and shit like that, mostly on
Okay.
Switch. But I think it was at I want to it was at E3 at something, and they gave a release date for it July 22nd. But Xbox uh, kind of sort of like said in one of their tweets that's coming to Game Pass.
Oh, interesting.
But no, it hasn't been officially confirmed that it is anywhere else. It was just like in a tweet, and news some news sites picked up on that, but they have not outright confirmed whether or not that's the case. Either way, I'm assuming it's gonna be like 20 $30. I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy it, but obviously I hope it's on Game Pass but if it's not, I'm still gonna buy it, so I don't care. Kina, Bridge of Spirit, I believe is what was the subtitle for that one. That comes on August 14th. That's the PS. I think it's on PS4 and PS5, but as a
Yes.
PlayStation exclusive one. It's like I love the. I think it's like a former like I think it's DreamWorks or Pixar guys. This is their first game. They built a game studio, and it kind of has that art style like a Pixar or DreamWorks kind of style going with it. And it's basically like what it sounds like. It's like a third-person action adventure game with
Right.
some Pikmin and Metroidvania style
Hmm.
gameplay to it. And I think that game, it definitely it's one of those things where like it looks like it's a Tyler game where it just I love the style of it. So I want to check it out. It's not a full price game. It's like $40.
Okay.
I do have that one pre-ordered on my PS5. I've already paid for it. Um, I'm super looking forward to that. The next one that comes out August 14th. August 19th, 12 minutes comes out. That's gonna be on coming on Game Pass. That's a game I've been wanting to buy since they revealed it in 2015. That's that like top down like you're replaying the same 12 minutes over and over again. Like the wife dies, and the husband's trying to figure out what happened, who murdered her, and you're replaying it over and over again trying to solve this mystery. Life is Strange True Colors comes September 10th. I love Life is Strange. This is coming from the Don't Nod people that made Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Hmm.
I love Before the Storm was my favorite of the Life is Strange games. That's my favorite one. Um, or no, I'm sorry, not Don't Nod. This is Deck Nine. Deck Nine is my. They made this. They made this one. They made Before the Storm. They're my favorite. I know I Don't Nod originally created it. Love them. I'm super pumped for this, and it all comes out in the same day. It's not episodic bullshit, so that makes me even more pumped. The same day we get WarioWare. Um,
Ooh, yeah,
that
that's
comes out
right.
Switch on September 10th. I've already pre-ordered that one, paid it off. I'm irked that it's $50, but I'm still gonna buy it and play it because I just want WarioWare.
Mm.
It's gonna be fun. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably my most anticipated for the rest of the year. Actually, you know what? For games that have release dates, it is my most anticipated for the rest of the year. October 26th, I pre-ordered that one on PS5. That game, I mean, we talked about it. It was both of
Yeah.
our games of E3. That game's,
Yes.
I'm not expecting 10 out of 10, but I was like, that looks like a really fun 8 out of 10 kind of style game, and it
Yeah.
just needs to have it just needs to have good gameplay, and stick with all the great interactions that we saw from the trailer, and I'll have a fucking blast. And then the last one, Advance Wars 1 and 2, the what was it called, reworked or whatever. I can't remember what the title was for it. This is December 3rd though. I do have that
Mm.
pre-order through GameStop, so um, that's it for the rest of the year. But I mean, obviously, some more shit will probably be announced. I have other games that are like undated, like Horizon 2, Solar Ash, Oxenfree 2, Goodbye Volcano High, Halo Infinite, and then Road 96 are all games I want to play, but those don't have dates. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there's not, like I said, even looking at that list, there's like not that runaway game of the year AAA game. I don't think on that list. There really isn't a lot. I don't think any real AAA game on that list. Um, so yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty solid rest of the year.
Yes, it
For like,
will.
this is gonna be a really good year for like AA games. I
Yeah,
feel
no
like,
shit. It is. It is.
like, so I mean, like unless Horizon 2 comes out, and Halo Infinite doesn't get delayed, so the rest of the year is gonna be we're getting flooded with a lot of potentially great AA games. But yeah, that is what I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. So moving on to what we've been playing, Gables.
All
Tell me what you've
right.
been playing.
Okay. I finished up Mario Golf Super
Okay.
Rush.
I've
I
also
def
played it. I do, but I'll let you go. I just want to mention
Okay.
that.
So I finished up the single player portion of it. I definitely went through. I finished up the side missions in that regards, which are basically just going through a bunch of lessons in regards that you go and earn experience and stuff.
Mm.
I was at close to level 75 with my character before beating the game in that regards, and I thought the game in and of itself, the entirety of the single player aspect, I think it was okay. I mean, there were definitely some aspects of it that were fairly simple. Were fairly like, okay, well, this is like a standard sort of light RPG type of golf game. It did introduce some bits of the features of like the what to expect from like speed golf and some bits of like cross country golf or whatsoever. I thought that it introduced those things well and did a good job of explaining how you're going to go through and play golf in that regards, like how you're going to use a specific club in regards to not only just a specific club, but the way you have to go through and train yourself to judge. Okay, so the wind's blowing a certain direction. Go ahead and aim it this way. Use this particular club, and blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. I feel like, yeah, in general, Nintendo did a fantastic job in terms, just thinking back of it, a fantastic job of just introducing players that may not be familiar with golf, but you're able to go through and learn a bunch of the lingo, and also in terms of how accurately can go through and get these shots done. I mean, obviously playing the game like I did, I was still I was still like overshooting certain shots. I was still like maybe under putting certain things that I could have done. But that was more or less me misjudging how I could go through with a putt because I would forget to watch my golfer closely because sometimes he'd be tilted like in an angle or
Yeah.
something like that, or maybe I had did a little bit too much power, or even like matching the bar at the specific moment that I need to know, and I just overshot it or just undershot it in a certain thing. I mean, those were little issues that I did come across in my entire playthrough of the game, but the core element of it, I feel like Mario Golf Super Rush is a good game. I mean, it's definitely has the fun fundamentals of like a pick up and play mentality where if you want to play as Mario and do 18 holes and stuff like that on this particular course, you could do that. Or if you want to go through a single player challenge and stuff and try out the battle golf mode and like the speed golf and just have a lot of fun doing that with friends and stuff, you could do that as well. I think that in terms of the RPG mechanics, definitely in terms of like each individual character or whatsoever, I think that's really overbloated in that regards because it's like I understand that Mario Golf in the past has had stories which are basically sort of like golf RPGs. I know Golf Story that's on the Switch and stuff borrowed heavily from like games like the game like Mario Golf on Game Boy Color or even like the Mario Golf Advance or even those type of styles of like a golf RPG stuff. But in regards to the game itself, it didn't really need to be like an RPG in general. This one, if you would have just had the standard, like how the original Mario Golf was, okay, here are the modes, here are some courses. You can unlock the specific characters or do this, in order to get this and that. Maybe you would have maybe a replay feature or something in regards to shots that you've made. It would keep track on how many like birdies you made, how many eagles, how many hole in ones you made, or albatrosses or whatsoever. But in terms of watching back the playback of how you made that shot, I really wish I could have had that feature because I would have. I didn't even watch the entirety of me making my hole in one because it's like I I did my shot and stuff. I got it as pinpoint accurate as I could, and I nailed the hole in one. And I'm like, okay, I want to rewatch this. Then I literally went back. I could not watch it, and it's like, I wish there was aspect like birdie badges and stuff to what where you can actually go in 100% like the course. Maybe there is, and I just didn't realize it. But I felt like that there were subtle improvements this game had to have made, and I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, yeah. If you manage to go through the single player mode, Tyler, I'll tell you what, man. It's like there's actually boss battles in this game. They're
Yeah, I
not
saw
bad.
those.
They're not bad, honestly.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're like you'll be able to go through and play through them and like see their gimmicks and whatsoever. But I felt like that it could have been more in terms of the single player kind of mode. Overall, I feel like this game's a good. It's like a good like 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10 at best. I mean, it definitely has its legs as a party game. It definitely has its legs and stuff as a great Mario Golf. No, no, as a good Mario Golf game. But at that same point, I feel like had they had more content with it that was substantial, maybe a little bit more characters, if they didn't just like implemented certain things better and maybe not as lazy as it could have been, it would have been an easily like maybe top 5 game of the year for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. But tell me a little bit of your experience with it.
Okay. I didn't play too much. I played a couple hours, but I didn't pay for. I didn't buy it. I got it through GameFly. So,
Okay.
um, and I'm glad I did because it's kind of like everything I said a couple weeks ago when about like my concerns for the game, kind of seemed ring true. Where it's like, I played like 18 holes initially, and I'm kind of bummed that like this is something that like a lot of golf games have had like this on like PS1, PS2 era, where you could
Mm-hmm.
play like against computers, but you don't have to watch the computers play golf. So you could just play your game, and at the end of the hole, it'll tell you their scores.
Right.
And like that's my like you I so I get a little bit of competition, and I also just get to play without sitting around waiting. Because I was seeing a lot of people were saying like if you play a 4 player game on 18 holes, it's like 2.5 hours, which kind of goes against a lot of like the big things with like like a lot of the big Nintendo like party games where it's like outside of obviously unless you want to do 20 do 50 turns of Mario Party, like a lot of like the like you want to do a tournament in Mario Kart uh, you want to play a game in Mario Tennis or whatever. It's like those don't last longer than 10 15 minutes, and
No.
so it's like it was kind of sucked to see that I couldn't do like what if I wanted to play against 3 computers, I couldn't just like basically they just play while I'm playing, but like I don't see them. Like you could play at the same time as them, but they all swing like next to you.
Right.
So which is kind of annoying. It's like I just want to play my game. I don't want this. Like they don't bump my they don't hit my hit bump the ball. It's not like the speed golf, but it's like you're like seeing all of them go at the same time. It's like that's kind of annoying. I just want to fucking
Yeah.
play my game and then see the score at the end, kind of shit. Um, but that's kind of annoying. But that's because I don't like. I started playing I put like an hour or so into the story mode. I kind of like the initial part of the story mode where it's like basically a rip off of Pokemon, where it's like you're in your mom's house, but it's Birdo, and there's these other three people, and like you're training to be the very best, like no one else ever was, but you're playing golf instead of Pokemon. And I kind of like that opening like dynamic, but then like you never really go on that
Yeah.
after training. It doesn't really. There's nothing else
Oh,
on that after
makes no
that.
point.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. This is kind of cool. And then like, oh, okay, this like it really is like you're in the house, you're in your mom's house in that game, where like you're sleeping in your room in Pokemon in that game, and then like the Birdo is your mom, and then like he just that's that after like an hour, it's like, all right, well, you're on your own now.
Oh
I
my
just did the
gosh,
training.
yeah.
I did speed golf, all that. It's it feels like it's kind of just like a tutorial. The story mode is the single player mode is basically a tutorial for the main game,
Yeah.
and then leveling up your me really is what it's for, and it seems fine. I played like I said, I played about 2 hours into it, probably a little under, probably an hour 45 minutes, um, and I just not feeling the urge. I know it was a couple days ago, like Wednesday, I think. Um, and I'm not really feeling the urge to to go back to it.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know, like I said, I want to go back to. I want to play. I kind of really wish that and I said the same thing about Mario Tennis. It's like I think Mario Kart has like hit that perfect thing for like okay, Mario Kart is built to play with your friends. It's more fun, obviously. All games are more fun to play with your friends, but it's like they do a really good job of like there's plenty of content in there with the tournaments and all that. Like there's four maps. You're playing against even if you're just playing by yourself, you're playing against all these computers, and you're trying to get first place. And you gotta do a 50cc, 100cc, and then 150, 200 mirror mode, all that shit. So there's plenty of content, plenty of replayability for somebody even if you're
Yes,
playing by yourself.
exactly.
Same with Smash. You want to unlock all the characters, you gotta play the fucking game, and then as you're unlocking, they all these new characters to play with. It's awesome. Um, and it's like with Mario Tennis and all that, like they put a lot of work into like these adventure modes, and like I thought like the adventure mode in Mario Tennis was just awful. Like there no argument about it. It was bad. This one is just like it's just it seems fine so far. And I know like I know I need to play more, but I will play more of it. Um, but like I kind of wish they would just do like just fucking do what Mario Kart does. Just have a bunch of like 9 hole tournaments. Have like I don't know, have like 16 courses of 9 holes. Like you already, I think there's like 7 or 6 courses in this whole game, 18 hole courses. Break
Hmm.
those up into nine holes instead of 18. There's 12 right there. Add a couple more, and just do fucking tournaments like in real golf. You play
Yeah,
the
no
same
shit.
course 4 days in a row, and then whoever has the highest score overall wins. And then you're not watching anybody else. You're just playing the game yourself. I mean, each one will take you. It'll take you 30 minutes to get through it, and then you got first. If you get first place, you get first place. If you don't, play it fucking again. Like, and then do like different difficulty levels to get through it, and you unlock shit along the way. Whether it's new clubs or you're leveling up your me to get better, or or you're leveling up. You're playing more as Mario to unlock better golf clubs. Like, I kind of wish that they just copy the Mario Kart formula instead of trying to make an adventure mode or something like that. Because I think that would honestly, it's just like I just want to play golf with Mario characters, and but I want to keep I do but I want a reason to keep doing so, and they're not really giving me a reason to do so because there's no like difficulty level for the computers. So it's like I played a couple games, and it's like my first game I played it without doing the tutorial, doing nothing. I beat all the computers by 6 strokes. Like they were +3 and I was on 3 under. And I was just like, all right, well, this is my first time playing it, and I'm only gonna get it better from here. So it's like I don't know. I like I said, I think if you have people you can play with, but the main thing about these games is like if you have people you consistently play with, whether it's online or in brick and mortar in person, like you're gonna this would be a great game for you. But like if you're, but I think the only issue is it's gonna be a time sink if you want to do
Yeah.
18 holes or even 9 holes. If you do 9 holes with 4 people, still gonna take you over an hour. Um, so yeah, that's the only foreseeable issue I can see with it. But I think if you have kids in the house or if you have other people you live with that will play with you, this game I think could be something you want to jump back to more and more. But yeah, if you're just someone that's if you're playing by yourself, I don't really see there's not too many reasons outside of maybe playing that single player to like keep going back. But
Yes, yes.
that what else have you been playing, Gibbs?
All right, so I went onto my Xbox. I decided to check out the perks for the Game Pass this month, and I saw something that's kind of odd. It's like, oh, okay, this game I can actually go through and claim it and play it now. Okay, this thing was just announced not too long ago, so I went through and I started playing Space Jam,
I played
New
it too.
Legacy. Yeah, the game, and the thing about it is like I don't think it's a bad game to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's okay because it's like a standard sort of beat 'em up in that regards where you're playing as either LeBron James, Bugs Bunny, or Lola Bunny.
Yeah,
Um, I will say, when regards to the whole gameplay aspect, I think the fundamentals of the fighting mechanics are fine. You're collecting a lot of the various like Looney Tunes cards and stuff, and they do their own things. Let's say like Granny, she has like this health power up, right? So where she drops all these like things, these desserts and stuff for you to pick up and eat in that regards. The whole gimmick of this game and stuff, it's like you're bouncing the basketball and stuff like that while you're like playing the fighting, like when you're fighting bad guys in that regards. I thought that was an interesting gimmick until I started realizing that it's like, well, wait, why is Tweety Bird going like back and forth between the screen and stuff like that? Oh, he's carrying the basketball back to me, and here I am. I'm constantly just tossing the ball like missing, and it's still doing that. I'm like, okay, that's not distracting. But I thought that going through a lot of the combat of it, I mean, sure, the game is pretty short. I mean, honestly, I beat the game like in around a half an hour to 45 minutes. Actually,
yeah.
yeah, about 45 minutes is how much I actually spent going through this game as my single player through my first time through with that. And I played as Bugs Bunny. I realized right away because of playing certain like fighting like beat 'em up games and stuff in the past, it really reminded me of like some of those beat 'em ups I played on the Super Nintendo, to where you could easily spend like a good hour or something playing this game, have a fun time with it, and do this, do that. I kind of felt like the same way with Space Jam: The New Legacy, where it's like it definitely borrowed like a couple of things from old school like games from back then, to where it's a standard fighting game. You go through, you do your basic combos, and do this and do that and stuff. But I thought it was kind of interesting is when you're going against certain boss battles and stuff. There's like one that's called the Brow, which I'm not too sure, but I have a
It,
feeling that it's borrowed
it's
after.
Anthony Davis. Or
Oh my,
yeah, Anthony Davis. AD. Yeah,
oh my fucking god, dude! I didn't even think about it when I was looking up
yeah,
the Brow.
yeah. All the boss battles are WNBA or NBA players.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting. It's like then like the next one's like the White Mamba, which I'm thinking to myself, what the.
Oh God.
I thought it was like a Kobe Bryant reference until I realized no, that's the
No.
Black Mamba.
Yeah, no. It's oh God, I can't remember her name. She's like the greatest WNBA player of all time, though.
Lisa Leslie.
Not Lisa Leslie. She's the white girl. She played for um, UConn.
Super, not
Some
super.
Sarah Gaunt. No, I'll look it up. You go ahead.
Okay, well, anyway, yeah, just seeing the random like NBA that or WNBA player references and this and that, I thought it was pretty interesting, kind of like a sort of play, because in the original Space Jam, yeah, you had like characters that gained the abilities of real life athletes, let's say like Charles Barkley or something like that, or David Robinson or whatsoever.
It's
But
Diana Taurasi. Sorry.
oh boy, oh, is it bad that I didn't even know her name?
Yeah, I used. Fun fact about Tyler. I had a huge crush on her when she played in college when I was a kid.
Really, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
still do. Call me.
But in regards to the whole fighting mechanics, I thought it was pretty funny. I did the whole thing where it's like, oh well, let's see if I can go through and like just do jump kicks and stuff, or like run and just do charge attacks and stuff, and see if that works. Yeah, I can actually do it that way, and I can beat the characters like quicker that way because it's like, okay, I'm not gonna lose a lot of life if I just go through and just mash the button in that regards. Gonna mix it up a little bit. Then when I went through the stages, and then I think there's like what like four, maybe five stages in all in this game. I want to say, or
I died at White Mamba, and that's as far as I got. So I
yeah,
only played it once though. So
dude, White Mamba is actually pretty simple to where it's like you can actually go through when she does that little pose or something like that. Immediately, you can just do like a jump kick and stuff. You can actually loop the jump kick in that
no.
regard. So you can get like a couple dozen maybe kicks on her, and then she'll go
Well,
through and opposite side.
we went through this earlier in the year when you beat Scott Pilgrim versus the World with no troubles, and I can't beat the first level. So we know our skill level at these games between you and I.
But yeah, when I went to the final boss of the game, I went through that rigmarole. I mean, I know you're gonna go through 'em, maybe go through and finish it, so I'm not gonna spoil too much about it. But it's sort of like one of those two-phase sort of boss battles and stuff, to where yeah, I thought that it was a fun boss battle. That was actually one of the more entertaining battles in that entire game, personally. But overall, I thought it was fine. I mean, the boss rush mode really pissed me off too because you have this entire health bar, right? And you have to go through all of these bosses in a row, and their patterns randomly go through and change.
Mm.
I mean, for the brow had like an extra freaking set of attacks and stuff. Yeah, these fucking spikes lift up, and I didn't even see that once out the normal playthrough. I mean, it probably is in the harder playthrough, the hard mode, but yeah, I just thought that there are some bits of the AI that just won't remain consistent to what they're going to go through and do. I mean, there's some elements of RNG that play into effect, especially the final boss battle. I was within, like, I kid you not, like a couple of hits away from beating the final boss in the boss rush mode and stuff, and I ended up dying because of some
Mm.
stupid bullshit. And that's what led me to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm done with the game. And I just uninstalled it. But overall, I felt like the game quality of itself, I felt like it was okay. It wasn't a bad game. It definitely, I wouldn't call it like, say, a game you need to stop through and play right at this moment. But I would rate it possibly maybe like a 6 out of 10 personally.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a try if you want to go through and like spend a good Sunday afternoon or like a busy like lazy day or something. Just play it just cause.
Yeah, it seems like definitely because it was like they I think earlier this game was made fairly quickly
Yes, it
because
was.
earlier this year they did like a contest of like the fans pick how they want this game to be and stuff like that, and then like there was
Uh,
like two different ideas mashed together and this is what we got. So yeah, for like a game that seemed like it came together in a matter of months, and it's fucking free. It's exclusive on Game Pass right now, but on the 15th it'll be free to everybody on Xbox and PC.
wow.
Um, but yeah, it's perfectly fine. Like if you just want a new beat 'em up game to play, um, this is more. It's just another one of those. Yeah, like I said, I think it's definitely like a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10 style game. Like yeah, like there's not. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of replayability. Like unless you want to play through it each character, but yeah, I definitely I'm gonna go back to it. I just played. I would just like I said, I think I played it for like 20 minutes, but seems fine. But it's nowhere near as good as like Street Rage 4 or
No.
Battletoads like last year. Like the amount of, but I mean it's not fair to compare those. Like this is what it is. They knew what it was. They pushed it as that, and it's just it lives at least lives up. Like I said, I thought about the state of play earlier. Like they set a bar and they hit that bar, and that's just kind of what this game is. Like they set a bar. If you paid attention at all to what like kind of what they're going for with this game, they did a pretty decent job for what they did. I think
Right,
overall.
right.
Yeah, I don't. This game it's just more a push for the Space Jam 2 that comes out on Friday, which I
Yep.
cannot fucking wait for. Um,
So yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty
cool.
much what I've been playing.
Okay. So I played both of the games you played. I played as well, but there's one of the game I've been playing
Yeah.
this week. Another game I got through GameFly, Scarlet Nexus, which is
Oh, okay.
is it not Cap? Is it Cap? No, is it Namco? Made it Namco?
Yeah, it's Bandai Namco.
Thank you. It is. Yeah. So it's kind of like an anime style game, like a kind of give me like Bayonetta vibe, or not, or like a Platinum game vibes, like uh, third person action adventure, like you know, quick time, fight with the sword, like button masher kind of game. Um, And I love the Platinum games. It kind of gave me those vibes. I played the demo not so long ago, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm liking it, but I figured I'd GameFly fucking try it out. Um, I really like. Let me rephrase that. I love playing this game. The combat is awesome.
Huh.
It's really cool. Like, so there's two different characters you choose from. You have Yuto, who's the male, and Natsune, who's the female. You were supposed to play through both campaigns to get the full story, I guess. But they have different fighting styles, which I picked the male in this case because uh, Yuto, I think I always fuck up how I say his name. But he plays like he has sword combat, and then Natsune, the female, she has like more distance. Like I think she has like more like projectile combat, but like they each have the same ability. Like so, everybody in this world has like their own ability. Like not everybody, but everybody like you basically like kind of like a cop kind of thing. Where in this world, like I think it's like CFO or is the name of like what you work for, but you're training everybody that works for this is like you have abilities that you use. Like some are like telekinetic, some have like flame abilities, some have electric abilities. Some can become invisible. Some can see like some enemies will have like smoke and you can't see anything. So then like you do this, they have the ability like you can use it and you can now see like in through the smoke. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like so for both characters, the main characters you have like telekinetic abilities where you can move things, but you have to like build up with like this bar uh as you like connect in combat and hit like do damage to the enemy. You build up this bar and you can like move like blocks or move vehicles and like smash into enemies, stuff like that. And then also at different points you have different characters that will join your party. You can have up to two other ones with at a time. At least so far, like I'm like 7 hours in. Uh, you don't get to pick who's in your party or not. They just kind of
All
like
right.
it's kind of like Final Fantasy VII. Like you always have three people in at a time, but like the way the story works out, you have these two characters with you, so you don't ever like get to swap characters out. Like these are the ones that are with you, and you level up. You have a skill tree, and they level up as well, and but they don't have skill trees. And then like you can like use their abilities. So like I said, like you can add if that this character has fire ability, now you do fire damage when you're attacking, or like yeah, like these enemies might become invisible. Are they like they burrow underground, they won't come up until you disappear, so you become invisible and make them come up. But like I think I love how it plays. It definitely feels like it's not like top tier platinum, I think, but it's definitely like that B plus platinum game, like that Transformers style like platinum game, or like Astral Chain, kind of like where like the gameplay I think is super fun. The only problem is every
Okay.
time I play this game, Gables, it makes me so sleepy
Oh
because
no.
the problem with this game is there is so much fucking story to this game, and they throw so much at you real fast in the beginning of this game, where they introduce like dozens of characters, not dozens, but like a dozen characters to you in the first like hour of gameplay, and they all have different personalities. They have different powers. They throw the
Right.
background at you. They throw a lot of shit at you real fast. And the biggest issue for me that comes through this, the way they do these cutscenes is it's comic style, where it's just a still screen and them talking. So there's some anime. It's more of like anime style, which I'm not. People know if you've listened a while. I don't like anime, but like there's definitely times where or like really even like the JRPG style, but there's definitely times where like there are exceptions to the rule. Like I love Catherine, or I love the Final Fantasy VII remake, stuff like that. Like as an adult, there's definitely exceptions to the rules. When I was a kid, this is my jam. But I just hate like the problem is like when they do like the full on anime cutscenes, like oh my god, this is awesome, this is amazing, I love it. And then but 90% of the cutscenes is you just staring at this still screen and them just talking for minutes on end.
Yeah.
And I cannot it's more admittedly it's a little bit of me where they're throwing a lot of shit at you, but it's like because I'm looking at a still screen, I am spacing out. I am bored by just staring at a blank screen of two characters' faces and then a bunch of dialogue, and then like there's voice acting, and the voice acting's fine. It's not top notch, but it's not bad. And I just want to like play the fucking game. And it's like You'll go through like 5 minutes of cutscenes, and then play the game, do one 50-second, 2 minute battle, and then there'll be 3 more fucking minutes of cutscenes. I'm like, fucking stop, stop, just give it. I just want to play the fucking game. And the problem is I am pretty much doing almost as much combat as I am watching or just staring at a fucking still screen, and it drives me goddamn nuts. And I'm so fucking like, I, if there wasn't so much story, I can get past it. If it was 10%, 20% story, and like it was still screen, and it was like a minute here, a minute there, in between things, you have a big cutscene here, I can get past it. But there is just so much. It's like Metal Gear Solid levels. There's not like 90-minute cutscenes, but there is like 20 minutes of you're not doing shit. You're just watching still screens of people talking for 20 minutes, and then you're gonna play for 5 minutes, and there's gonna be there a 2 minute cutscene, and then you're gonna play for 15 minutes, and there's gonna be another 5 minutes a cutscene. Then there's gonna be a boss fight, and there's gonna be 15 more minutes of fucking cutscenes. I'm like, I really like playing your game, and I just want to like there's definitely some fucking hype ass like when they build to a boss fight, it's fucking incredible. But it's usually where like the anime like they actually put the budget in cutscenes, and then it's just like it just kind of kills like there's so much important shit happening, but like you're just staring at a comic strip that it's just like I'm not paying attention. But when the anime shit happens, it's like oh okay this is really important. So okay that makes sense like the comic strip stuff not as important, but it's
Right.
actually just as important. There's not any action happening. So I don't know. It's just I keep going back to it because I love playing the game, but I just after like 30 minutes of playing the game, I just don't want to play anymore because it's like
Oh no.
I have played for 8 fucking minutes. I have played actual 8 minutes of goddamn gameplay, and then the rest of it is just me staring at a fucking still screen, and I can't take it anymore. And like if it was more if I was more in anime stuff like that, I could get past it. And it's like, man, I want to love this game. This would be just based off this gameplay alone. If it was like I said, 85-90% gameplay, 10% story. Even if it was in the comic style, just 10% though, this would be like top 3, top 4 game of the year contender for me. And I would actually want to go through and play through both stories, but I looked it up, and each individual story is 20 to 25 hours long.
Whoa, here
So
you
we're
go.
talking 40, 50 hours of me staring at still screens, and a good chunk of it overlaps, so I'm replaying fucking cutscenes that I've already seen once before. Not even cutscenes, still screens that I've already watched for hours on end before. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, maybe I could just play through one. And maybe it's like the Resident Evil 2 thing, where it's like, yeah, you want to play through Claire and Leon's, but you really only need to play through Leon's to really get the story. And Claire's just there for extra added content. But
Okay.
really, Leon's is the important one. And like, no, that's not the case. They're like, and like, especially as the story progresses, it's like there's a big mystery behind it between these two. It's like, okay, what's happening with Natsume to cause this to happen? But you have to play through her story to understand what's happening to cause these things. It's like, god damn it. I want to do that, but I don't want to fucking watch comic strips. Fuck. So that's where I'm at, Gables. I love this game, but I have never been so like split on a game where I absolutely love it, but I don't want to play it. They make me not want to play it, and they just make me. I literally played it for like an hour on Sunday, and I just took a nap. Like I just started playing for like an hour, and I'm like, I'm sitting like doing like that drift thing, and I'm like,
Oh
all right, I just
no.
put it in rest mode, and I took a fucking 2 hour nap. That's it. It just made me take a nap. That's all. That's what it did to me.
Now
So
you understand how I felt playing Pitter Pot.
yeah, but Pitter Pot's just is a great fun game to play.
Maybe in hell. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that is actually I think that's going to be it for us, Gables. If you like us, go to you can watch us live on Twitch every Saturday night. Usually record around 8 p.m. Pacific time, West Coast Best Coast time. Um, so if you miss it, go to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/drunknerdspodcast. click the follow and the bell, so that way whenever we go live, you get notifications of it, and also it follows help. If you can't watch us live, I do post a video immediately afterwards on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and then search for Drunk Nerds. You'll find us. Also, uh, subscribe, thumbs up, comment, ring that bell. That way, you can watch the video version of us and you'll know when it goes up. And then we're up anywhere pods are cast. That usually goes up Sunday afternoon sometimes. Just kind of depends on when I edit it. If I'm feeling a little lazy, it might be Sunday night. If I'm feeling a little motivated in the morning, it's gonna go up Sunday morning. Just kind of depends. But yeah, anywhere pods are cast, we're on it. So like, follow, subscribe on all those places. 5 stars, whatever you can do to help us. Shares also really helps us. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad. Any Golden Girl fan clubs you're in, tell them. Tell them I have PJs, and that'll help us out as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, play some fun games. Enjoy every little bit of life while you still have it. And most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun filled episode of the Drunk Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yeah,
Too sweet.
too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.